It's 11:30 and I'm on my fourth outfit of the day. It's not even lunch because the kid spits up like every 45 minutes, like all over you. And then you're like soaked. And it's like, why even shower? Like, you're just going to be covered in formula and milk and... How's it going, man?
Good. How are you?
Oh, man. I'm glad to be back in the saddle.
It's crazy, right? You're like a dad now.
I'm a dad. Had tons of just life issues the last, when was the last time we recorded?
Oh, man. It had to have been, I guess, beginning of October or something last year, like right before Noah was born.
Was it really like 8 months ago?
I guess so.
I know
How
you don't
fast
want me to,
did that go by?
Yeah, I know you don't want me to blow out the mic, but goodness. He was born in August, and
August.
We might have tried once or twice when he was born. I don't know, with Lisa having 2 months of maternity leave, but we had a family health emergency at the end of October, and that lasted for 6 months. And that was every weekend, every night, every day, every weekend traveling. It was all consuming, and then now it's just the aftermath of that. And so we're just kind of coming out of it. Just this past week, actually, we went on a little vacation, and we do it every year. But we were talking on the drive. It's weird because our first vacation with a kid,
Yep.
And so it was like
you bring like half the house with you.
Oh my God, it's so terrible. So it's crazy because we go every year. We used to live in Charleston, and so we have all of our favorite restaurants and all the things, and we've done this trip multiple times with just the two of us. And we were like, we're going to do the same thing. And then Noah was like, I don't want to be in this restaurant, and I'm going to throw food everywhere. And, so our anniversary is during this trip every year. And so our anniversary dinner, basically, 80-90% of the dinner was we ate alone because one of us had to take him outside. And then the other one would, and then be out there for 5 or 10 minutes, and then the other would come back and then try to sit him down in the high chair. And then the other one would go outside, and you were like, what a terrible anniversary dinner. So then we were like, we just canceled the other reservations. We were just like, this isn't going to happen. Like, like reality struck. And we were like, that's fine. We're just going to order in, take out, whatever. And we're just going to slum it.
You have so much empathy now when people are like, we got to cancel. And you're like, oh, don't be a flake. Don't flake out. Like, what do you got to be like that? But now as a parent, you're like, oh, there's like unspoken things that you just like. Now as a parent, you're like, gotcha. Don't even have to explain.
I don't have to explain, but I still think that y'all should have done a better job explaining why not to have kids, because it completely ruins your life. And the older you are, when you have kids, the harder it is to then change, because you're like, I'm used to having a clean house. Like, I'm used to being able, to control things to some degree. And no, the baby's like, nope. So
I'm going to make sure of that.
It's been
so just to catch up. So we had our 6 months to 6,000 goal, which would have been at the end of December of 2022, and we're almost coming up on the anniversary of a year since we first said let's do the show.
Wow.
Yeah. And so we're kind of at that point where we are going to do the final wrap up of the show, the final episode here, and we're going to explain kind of what happened
Sure.
We knew that you were going into a storm, but we didn't know how life was going to happen, and it just threw you like 10 storms at once.
Yeah.
So I want to hear kind of the story of what happened, and then kind of where you want to go from here, and what that storm kind of changed about your whole thoughts on growing a YouTube channel, and is it worth it, or do you still want to do it, or did you change your trajectory, or what your goals are or whatnot. So I'm interested to hear, and then we can do our little check-in. We should probably check in on our sub count here.
I just checked mine. I haven't
Okay, what is yours?
479.
479. All right. Well, cool. So did you gain any since the last episode?
I mean, I was like within 5 or 10, probably 480,
Gotcha.
482, 45. I don't remember
Something.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just been kind of just there. And that's what's so frustrating is knowing that we knew going in, okay, the hardest part is going to be consistency. And so, you need that consistency to drive, the sub count and everything. And so when that just went out the window with everything, then it's just like the channel just is what it is. It's sitting still at this tantalizingly close, yet so far away from monetization and then growth. And, I mean, I think probably there's so many things I've learned through this whole thing. So basically, I don't need YouTube as an income driver for the family. It's more of something for me, an expression for me, gives me something to do that's not just changing diapers now. I wasn't looking at it that way back in Idaho last year. I have learned so much about diapers. And
well, that's a positive.
And other things. I will not be sharing that on YouTube. But yeah, I think really the biggest thing was, so I don't know how you would quantify a child, having a first baby, maybe category 1 hurricane or something, and category 2, I don't know. Like it's a big storm, and it takes some getting used to. But if that's all life throws at you, it's manageable. And so I think, what we had was off the charts, category 5, just like a crazy amount of stress, family and when you start talking about health and life and death situations, and then throw in a newborn child, it was just really, it wasn't what I wanted to do, but it was easy to say YouTube's got to, this got to take a back seat. Like I have to keep, supporting my wife and keep the child alive, and then try to, help the family, and as best we can. So, gosh, I mean, I guess 3 weeks before Noah was born, we moved into this house too. It's a 40-year-old house, so there's a lot of house projects. So, I mean, those all went by the wayside too. Like those weren't life or death. Those weren't, keeping a child alive, keeping his butt from getting potty rash, diaper rash, whatever. I mean, it's just,
how our neighbors knew we were pregnant in Tennessee? We stopped being meticulous with our lawn.
Oh yeah.
Our lawn started to just go, and our neighbors were like, something's different.
Yeah. You're just like, I mean, the amount of stuff that a child has is unbelievable. Like you were saying earlier when we started, I mean, it is insane to take a trip for a week, and this 20-pound child has more than both adults, combined. Yeah. It's unbelievable, and a lot more. And so learning all of that, and then just saying, okay, like I have I don't know how many hours of raw footage. I actually recorded a bunch of house projects and stuff I was going to make this whole series. And, I was trying to do projects and film them.
Oh,
and
interesting.
then, and then it was where's the time to sit down and edit? And I felt like I needed to get some projects done to, Lisa would come home. Is that project done? Or, this needs to get, whatever needs to get done. And so I would do those and I would film it, and I have it sitting on my external hard drive. And so now it's a matter of saying, okay, like I still need to get more projects done, but how do we fill in the time now with editing, posting, all of that jazz.
So, and this is, so you're doing like house projects, family, hospital stuff, but you're also taking care of Noah,
right,
full time, basically.
Yeah. And then my parents help a couple days a week. And so then it was cool. And then it was just this weird transition where your wife has one way of wanting to try to take care of the baby. And then your mother has, well, I've done it, I raised you and your sister, and I have helped you, your sister raise her 2 kids. So I know what I'm doing. I'm like, I'm not getting in the middle of that. The wife would like it this way, so can we just do it this way? Yep.
And, this is another whole dynamic you have to learn and figure out.
It's a whole bunch of stress for nothing. It's like, can you just do it this way? I think I know what I'm doing. Ugh, I didn't say you didn't know what you were doing. I was just asking if we could do it this way. And so then it was like, Lisa would come home from work and she'd be like, well, what did your mother do? I'm like, I don't know. I was out working, like I was trying to get a project done. I was like, well, I need to know, it was like, whatever. Did you make sure all this stuff is being done inside? I'm like, I can't, do you want me to just take care of the child? I'm trying to trust that, I survive. So my mother, has to be able to do something. And, so anyway, it was just crazy for a few months, but I was able to do a fair number of projects and film them. And then it was like, okay, now, how does it fit in? And then where's the consistency? So like, I didn't want to post a video knowing that life was crazy and we didn't know what was going on. And then you'd be like, great, you posted a video. And then like 3 months later, hey, you posted another video. So I was like, well, let's just record it.
Yeah.
Save it all. And then
it's a tough thing. I'm surprised that you actually were still trying to push and record stuff. Like, that's impressive. So you never got to the point where you were just like all hands on deck, like just ejection on everything in my life. I just got to get this, like, kids and family and just take care of this. You were still like, no, I'm going to do that. And I'm still going to try to drive and get stuff done.
Well, it felt so, my identity had to change, I had to change from wanting what I wanted to do to trying to serve the family in a time of need and massive change. And that was really hard for me. That was something that was like, okay, I can only give so much. Like, what are we doing here? When your wife works a bunch of hours and the kid is like, whatever, trying to keep it on a schedule, and then the kid's not on a schedule, and then you have to, it was a mess. And so I was like, no, like, I want to give my best shot at this YouTube thing and like produce and do that. And so I was still trying, but I needed to get stuff done at the house. And so it was a matter of, if I'm going to do the project, I can at least set up my phone and record it. And so, I was like, okay, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to record it. And so then that was, once Lisa went back to work after 2 months, once my mother got, we got on the same page, like for a few weeks or a month or something, whatever, I was like, okay, we're good. then it was like, okay, I can do some projects, and I don't know how many projects I have.
So real quick, if you go from anybody that's single watching this, right? You go from like, I got all the time in the world, I can do what I want, I got how I live, how I like stuff, and then you're like, oh, I got this girlfriend, and it's like, oh, I gotta like please her, win her over. Then it's like, okay, now I'm married, I got all these other responsibilities, and you grow as a person, right? Because now you have to serve this other person. Then you have a kid and you have responsibilities for everybody, and you're like, okay, wow, I got to grow another exponential step. Where does doing all of that and trying to do your job and trying to do YouTube, like recording, like the meta version of like, well, hey, here's what's happening. Where does that stack on like the difficulty level of all the responsibilities?
So like the difficulty for me was, and this is for anyone that has a child will, you know, I guess commiserate and laugh, but for anyone who doesn't, I was so naive. Just as a baby, it doesn't move. It can't be that hard. And it's not difficult from a, you know, like trying to bench press 400 pounds and I need to work at this for months and take steroids and, you know, whatever. And it was like, I mean, you can do everything to take care of a kid, you know, from the time you're like a teenager. But the thing that was so difficult was the time management when it's not your schedule. Yeah. And so like I used to love to shower in the mornings. I didn't even shower yesterday. Like that just wasn't even and that was a Sunday. My wife was here all day. Like I was just working all day. Like I was like, you're going back to work tomorrow, you know, today, Monday. So like you take care of the kid and I have to get everything done, you know, like all this stuff done. And she's like, would you take care of him? I'm like, I'm doing that tomorrow, you know, like and anyway, so, but not only was it like not showering, it was like, it's 11:30 and I'm on my fourth outfit of the day. It's not even lunch because the kid spits up like every 45 minutes, like all over you. And then you're like soaked. And it's like, why even shower? Like you're just going to be covered in formula and milk and, you know, and then it's just like, now I have to do laundry. I have to do his laundry like at least once a week. I have to do my laundry like at least once or twice a week. You know, before it was like, oh, just, you know, if I want to do my laundry, you know, 'cause I don't wear that many clothes. Like it's just all of the mundane things in life, like quadrupled. Yeah. You think, oh, it's a baby, but then it's just like, you have to wash bottles and you have to make formula and then you have to sterilize them and you have to do like, and it's constant. And it's not like, oh, if you cook meals and you can kind of like prep that for like a day and then have like a week's worth of food and whatever. And then you kind of minimize your time throughout the week. Like formula has to be made within and consumed within 24 hours. So you're like, you know, how much is he eating? You know, okay, well, let's not make too much. And then you're like, well, now I got to make more. And then you got to, and it's like, it makes you dumber. It's just all of these things where you're not, it's not like an art form. It's not whatever. So it's just, I'm here to help.
But then meanwhile, your little baby is only that little for that little brief period of time. Like you'll never get back the moments you have when he was that little. It's crazy, man. I've got an 8-year-old now where I'm just like, what happened, man? You used to be this little tiny little fat head, cutest little baby, and now he's this huge strapping kid. I'm like, what is this?
Right. I think people don't really say this, and maybe I'm just see the world very differently. But the first 5 or 6 months, you can have it. Like it just, the kid doesn't do anything. There's there's very little emotional interplay response. Like it's just kind of there. It cries, and you're like, "Are you hungry? Did you poop your pants? Are you tired?" Those are kind of the 3 things, you know, like you don't know. And it's just really monotonous and mundane and just kind of difficult from the the never endingness of that monotony. It's kind of like Chinese water torture, it's just like a drip. It's going to happen.
When did you, I know it's hard for like first time fathers to like realize that they're a dad, and like it hits them. It hits them sometime after the birth, because the birth is like, holy, okay, it's here, and like, wow, that was a miracle, and like, I don't know what just happened. But then at some point you're like, oh wow, like this is real. Like, when did it really hit you? Like, oh snap, this is different.
Probably like in the last 2 months.
Really? Yeah, so that's a while.
I mean, like the first 6 months, I was like, can we give this back? Like, do they take refunds? Is this like, it's broken?
It's leaking all over the place.
What is going on with this thing? Like, they're like, it's so cute. It looks like you. It looks like your wife. I'm like, it's not like, why? It's nothing like that. Why are we? We have no idea what this guy is going to look like. I mean, it's just, yeah, it was weird. It was like, okay, son, I'm your dad. And then, it's just like, they can't focus on anything, whatever. And just, it was weird. But then just recently, like in the last couple of months, he knows his name. He'll look up. He's starting to, he's crawling like crazy now. So you can tell he's like a person. Like he has like he's like, I want to go here, and I'm going there, and I want this thing, and I pick it up, whereas like for the first 6 months, 7 months, there was just kind of nothing. Yeah. And so it was weird. It's like, I know it's a human, like I get it. And I'm sure your viewers are going to be like, this guy is off his rocker, but it just didn't hit me, like, cause there wasn't really, other than it being a human baby, it didn't have like they're not communicating. They're not like happy to see you. They're just kind of like, okay. I mean, they recognize if a stranger's holding them versus, mommy or daddy or whatever, but it's just just a different feeling. And so now 9.5 months in or whatever we are, it's getting more of like, I mean, like he, if I go to the store or whatever, I'm gone running errands and I come back, or if I'm just upstairs working and my mom and dad are helping out, taking care, and I haven't seen the kid in like 2 hours, when I come in the room, he's like, yo, he just breaks out and he's just like, hey.
Nice.
And so it's like, it's cool. Like he recognizes. And so that's like, I think where the parents they basically remember those times more. And then I'm like, oh, it's totally worth it. No, it's not. Not while you're going through it for the first, like we're like, do you want to have another one? I'm like, like, I'm good. Like you can't leave the kid and like have a single, just like have one kid. Yeah, you can.
No, imagine doing this over again. And now you have another kid who can actually like do damage, like who's running around or crawling around.
I know. And that's the thing, is basically it's almost unanimous. Every parent I've talked to is basically like, look, you're used to it now, so just suck it up and have another one. I mean, it's not like enjoyable. They're just like, would you rather like kind of return to somewhat normalcy and then have to go back through it? And you're like, no, like might as well just make life suck for like 2 years straight, 3 years straight, whatever it is.
Get it over with.
I know.
Rip the Band-Aid off. That's why some people are like, please, triplets, right? Let's go.
Oh, not triplets. Oh my God. But then we were talking about if we had twins, like you going 0 to 100 miles an hour with one. If you have twins, it's not doubling. It's like quadrupling. I mean, it would be 0 to 400 miles an hour. It'd be terrible. I don't know how, I don't know how that works. I mean, there was a friend of mine in college and they had, 2 kids and then they had quadruplets. And so they went 1 to 6. And the older two, well, the oldest one was, oldest sibling was able to help out some. I don't know if the second oldest helped out much, and there were pictures of like the oldest child helping feed, but I mean, they had like 4 high chairs and you're just like feeding one. Can you
imagine just the stroller situation and the pack and play situation and the
I mean, it was all we could do to take one kid on a vacation. I mean, I feel like you would just, can we leave these three behind and like take one
You start
kid a
farming them
year?
out. Okay, these parents are, you're going to take these, and these
Yeah.
parents are going to take these, and we're
Yeah.
going to leave this one. We're going to take this one.
Don't you want to go spend a week with your grandparents?
And I think for me, I've always prioritized family above everything. And so, yeah, if that means less money, if that means slower progress in businesses, if that means we sacrifice because we got to do something, then so be it. But yeah, I don't think you ever regret being there for your family, right?
No, I mean, I think that was the thing that we were going through with, in our family, and not to go down that route, but when a family member is suffering, that was a choice that my wife was going to be there, and so that meant the strain of her working and then her leaving town and going to spend time with family, and that was hard because it was so long with a new child. And so you're prioritizing family, and then, all the other stuff. It's like, whenever there's business stuff with my wife's business, I have to put on my accountant hat and use that skill set and education that I have and go through numbers. And so, I mean, I've been, I've spent, I don't know how many days, weeks going through financial statements and going line item by line item and researching and asking for reports and putting together stuff. So, I mean, that's not stuff that, it's not going to build my business, my YouTube business, but it helps with our other investments and, my wife's professional career. And so, and then there's just all that stuff, which is just takes up time, which is not in the, it's not in the schedule. It's just something that you're like, it comes up and you go, man, I could not do this, but then how good of a husband am I if I have the skill set to help you out on this and I just choose not to? I feel kind of bad about that. And then prioritize my YouTube channel that has 479 subscribers. Those 479 subscribers need to hear from me today.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the hardest thing to watch for me is finding people that I really admire and look up to that are content creators or business people, or both usually, and seeing them seemingly have it all, right? Where they have the wife that loves them, the kids that love them, the family, they're spending time, they're prioritizing the right things with, your family and your health, and they're still crushing it, right? They're still doing everything they want to do in business. They're creating the content. They're doing everything that it looks like. And then to see those guys, to see them thrive is amazing, is awesome. But then occasionally you'll see over time, some of those guys go off the rails, right? It's like, they either have, a divorce, or their kids, hate them, or whatever happens. It's like, oh man, like something was going on behind the scenes and we just weren't aware of it. And now they're just kind of trying to move on and, go in a new direction, or, something changes. And that's always tough to see. But I've noticed that it's very, very rare to be able to do it all and to actually for real do it, and not just, on TV seem like you're doing it.
Yeah, I don't know if you can do it all, to whatever level you're talking about, I mean, not you specifically, but if you're talking about being a, whatever the number is, 100 millionaire, a billionaire, 50 million, I don't know, 10 million. I mean, something has to take priority, and it's either your work because you have to build something, or it's, family, and you're not going to build that thing. And so then it's like, maybe you have a great business idea, or you do something for the first 5 years and it's all business. And then you have more balance later on, but you're still prioritizing something in order to get it. You just can't, it's just impossible to work 16-hour days and spend time with your family.